Welcome back to Texas Rye Whiskey Studies for episode number 30 as we continue our National Rye Whiskey Tournament, episode number 22. Coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, where it is currently 103 degrees. Today is the start of a short supplemental portion to our tournament because I had an oops moment. I left out a couple of whiskeys from the reviews and competition, and so today we will be back in round one, so to speak, of the tournament, and we're going to look at Powers Irish Rye. Now, I am conducting a survey of originally 12, but now I think it's going to be 14 rye whiskeys that are under 90 proof. I review each whiskey, and then after reviewing two, I do a blind head-to-head competition to see which one of those two I like the best. This will be the 13th rye whiskey that I've examined in this under 90 proof bracket. So just the facts. Irish Powers Rye is a 100% Irish rye. We're weighing in at 86.4 proof. It is non-age stated, but at least 3 years old, and I'm sure older. This sells locally for about $38. However, I have not seen it locally lately, and it's not on any of the websites, so I'm not sure if it's available or not. Tasting notes: sweet, honey, rye spice, peppery, some fruit, maybe like apples and oranges. I think there's a little bit of a citrus element going on there. It's very pleasant. The softness in the palate is typical for Irish whiskey because they use second and third fill American oak, and so that makes it really gentle. I gave it a score of 83. Letter grade for drinkability, B. My recommendation: if you like rye whiskey, you should like this. If you like Irish whiskey, you might like this. And this is so gentle that I don't think it's going to offend anybody. It's very mild. Makes a great old fashioned. All right, some history. James Power was an innkeeper in Dublin when he started distilling on the side, and his whiskey became so famous that in 1791 he built a distillery on John's Lane in Dublin. In 1893, Powers whiskey had a big exhibit at the Chicago World's Fair. In 1886, Powers broke ground by bottling their own whiskey, and in that 1893 World's Fair, there's a picture of Powers whiskey in their bottles stacked high. Made a column or a tower out of their whiskey. Very interesting photograph from that time. Now, the last Power family member to sit on the board died in 1930, Sir Thomas Talbot Power, but the whiskey did not stay in the family. So it passed on to, some other owners over the time. In 1966, it joined the Irish Distillers, along with Jameson and Cork Distilleries, and it became under that title. So Irish whiskey had hit hard times between World War I, World War II, the Great Depression in between, and then the changing tastes in America. So, there was a consolidation of Irish whiskeys, and many distilleries shuttered and closed. So, in 1989, Irish Distillers was purchased by Pernod Ricard. I believe that's a French company, and the John's Lane Distillery, in fact, closed. In 2023, though, Powers released this Irish rye whiskey. So for history, 4 out of 5. Bottle, label, and marketing. The bottle is a little bit unique. It's round, it's clear glass, but up here at the top, it has this kind of a unique shape to it. So it's fairly plain, although a little bit unique. And I don't care much for the bottle, but I think the label's very nice. It's bold. You got a lot of green there signifying rye. You've got white and a little bit of black. So back when this whiskey was released in 2023, I did see some ads for this, and there was a lot of chatter about it in the whiskey community online. So bottle, label, and marketing. 4 out of 5. Appearance. You can see that it's fairly light. This is a very light whiskey. So again, I don't think there's much age on here, but also they're using second and third fill used barrels, so they're not going to get a lot of color out of that. So for appearance, 2 out of 5. Composition. The bottle says 100% Irish rye mash, and it weighs in at 43.2 ABV or 86.4 proof. Distilled at Middleton Distillery in Cork, Ireland. Again, non-age stated, so at least 3 years old, but probably older. Triple distilled in a copper pot still, they claim. And another thing that they're proud of is they say they cut more of the heads and tails off, keeping only the true hearts of the distillate. And that makes it more gentle, more smooth, more refined. And again, they age it in second and third use American casks. So 13 out of 15 for composition. Nose. All right, well, let's pour a glass and then we'll get to this whiskey. There it is in the glass. So again, you can see how light that is. Not a real strong nose, but I get a little bit of fruit, kind of a apples and oranges kind of a thing. Some spices. I think a little bit of vanilla. So it's pleasant, but fairly weak. I'm going to say a 7 out of 10. I don't know. Yeah, 7 out of 10. Let's go in for the taste. That is pretty sweet for a rye. Honey. But then the rye spice kind of kicks in. You get some of that fruit. Apples and oranges, maybe. And it is peppery, as a rye should be. Very pleasant drink. I must say, however, that when I opened this, the first 2 or 3 sips, which was over a year ago, I really didn't care for it. I'm not a fan of Powers Irish whiskey, the basic gold label or whatever they call it. Not a fan. And I was picking up some of the notes that I got with that whiskey. And so it just kind of turned me off. So I put this away in the shelf and forgot about it. And when I pulled this out to research for this competition, I liked it a lot more than I did before. So that's an improvement. It's much better. As 100% ryes go, this one is not very rye forward, although the rye is there. I find it to be very balanced with the sweet and the fruit and the rye spice. Some other baking spices kind of enter in the background. So I think this has a fairly broad palette of flavors. Now, the softness in the palate, again, that's typical for an Irish whiskey using the triple distilling as well as the casks, the second and third fill casks. So that makes it very soft and gentle. Not real bold, but pleasant. 22 of 25 for taste. The mouthfeel, burn, and finish. The mouthfeel is more creamy than I had thought it would be. It's not thin, but it's not necessarily real rich, but still it's creamy. Now, the burn is on the lower end. It's more mouth tingles than burns, but it kind of intensifies with the finish. So it's a very pleasant burn. I could wish for a little bit more, but again, it's, 86.4 proof. So again, it's a mild Irish whiskey. No burns allowed. The flavors do linger for a surprisingly long finish for this low of a proof. You get the fruit, the rye spice, other spices, the honey. All those flavors stick around for quite a while. So to me, it's a very enjoyable finish. So for mouthfeel, burn, and finish, a 14 out of 15, a very respectable score. Versatility, flexibility. All right, my favorite way to drink it is obviously neat. The flavors and proof are, I think, going to be too soft for ice, but you do what you want. Last time that I was testing this, just a few days ago, I made an old-fashioned that was amazingly good, surprisingly so. And my wife actually really liked this one. She's not much of a whiskey girl. She likes some of my old-fashioned creations. This one was going to be one of her favorites. And I think, again, it's that smooth, gentle Irish touch to it, as well as the citrus flavors going on here. So I'm going to go make another old-fashioned, and I'll tell you what I did both times, because I'm going to make it the exact same way I did the other day, because that was about as perfect as it can get. So stand by, and I'll come back with an old-fashioned. And I'm back with an old-fashioned using my Look of the Irish glass here. I got from Bin Shot. They make a lot of good glassware. All right, let's talk about this old-fashioned. First of all, I kind of made it a double because my wife is going to be home sometime soon and want to save some for her. But what I've got, Angostura bitters, pretty standard. Orange bitters. Now, I told you that in this whiskey, I'm getting some citrus flavor. It could be orange and a little bit of apple, perhaps. And so when I make old fashions, what I like to do is try to emphasize something in the whiskey, or sometimes, adversely, try to cover up something in the whiskey. All right, here I want to bring out the citrus notes that I was getting, and so I used orange bitters. However, I did not use an orange peel because the orange notes in the Powers whiskey were dominant enough to where I don't want to overdo it. And the orange bitters are sufficient for that, but I think an orange peel frequently dominates. Then, for sweetener, I just use some simple syrup. There you go. But garnish. I didn't want to use a cherry because that's going to tamp down the flavors I want to bring out. I don't want darker flavors added here. This is a light, citrusy, sweet drink, and so I don't want to dampen that, tap that down with the dark cherry. What I did do, because it's a little bit soft, I used some star anise or anise, however you pronounce that. I put one of those in there, and so that's what this spider-looking thing is. Frozen spider, that's what that is. Okay, so let's see how this turned out. And that is pretty good, but I really do think it might need a little bit more simple syrup. I went light on that. Oh, I did not bring my... Okay, I've added a little bit more simple syrup. Let's see if that did the trick. Yes, that's a little bit better. My Angostura bitters comes out fast. The opening in that bottle, I guess, is a little bit bigger or something, but it comes out fast. I may have gotten just a bit too much Angostura in there, but sweetened it up a little bit and that fixed it. Adding that star anise really helps bring out the rye flavors, and I thought it needed that. So this turns out to be a beautiful old-fashioned. So when my wife gets home, I'll have some for her. Maybe she'll like that. All right, so for flexibility and versatility, I'm going to give that a 5 out of 5 for sure. Price, value, and availability. I paid $37.88 for this whiskey back in March of 2024, so 2 years ago, at Liquor King. That's a smaller store with a fantastic whiskey selection, but slightly higher prices, and it is a bit out of my normal driving patterns. And today, when I have checked the big three, Goody Goody, Specs, and Total Wine, it wasn't available at any store. And so this is concerning. I hope it doesn't go away. This is really a pretty good whiskey. So I don't know, but going off the price I paid 2 years ago, I think it's got good value for the money. I would consider buying again, even though I didn't rate it real highly. But apparently it's got bad availability now, and that hurts the score. So 7 out of 10 for price, value, and availability. Bonus points. This is a whiskey that, again, originally I didn't much care for. Now I do like it, and it makes a very good old fashioned. My wife liked it, so the history seems fairly legit, but availability is now an issue apparently. So 5 out of 5 for bonus points, giving me a total score of an 83. Letter grade for drinkability, a B. But the old fashioned really does make up for that. Analysis and recommendation. I find this whiskey to be a very pleasant, mild, sweet rye. It still has the rye flavor. It's quite good. It lacks the boldness that I usually prefer because it's Irish. And so that's kind of typical. So this very soft, gentle approach, though, to rye, I think makes a very good old-fashioned cocktail. Even though I had to spruce it up with the star anise right there. So all in all, I can recommend this if you like ryes, if you like Irish whiskeys. Find this and give it a try. So, Powers Irish Rye. All right, next up is 10th Mountain Whiskey from Vail, Colorado. And I don't have that yet. It's due to be delivered tomorrow. So hopefully that happens. If it doesn't happen, then I'm in trouble. All right. This is Stab the Dragon Productions for Texas Rye Whiskey Studies out here.